Nava acknowledges the Gadigal and Wangal peoples of the Eora Nation as the traditional custodians of the land on which this was filmed, and pay respects to elders past, present, and future.
I am Claudia Chinyere Okole. I'm an illustrator, animator, cartoonist, and educator in Sydney, Australia, which is specifically Wangal and Gadigal country, is where I live and work.
Has there been a turning point in your career or an experience that has shaped your practice?
Big turning point in my career is probably the past year or so. I decided to quit my day job working graphic design at SBS, and so I've decided to commit myself to working freelance as an illustrator and cartoonist. The obvious risks involved with freelancing is the income and the uncertainty of any long-term financial interest. But I was feeling like I'm young, I'm still fairly early in my practice, don't have any children, and I live alone, so why not do it now?
What is the most pressing issue for you as an artist right now?
The most pressing issue is constantly the financial side. The general kind of defunding of the arts, and when COVID hit, the complete exclusion of tertiary education in JobKeeper kind of forced me out of teaching. And I was lucky in that freelance kind of kept me afloat throughout lockdowns, and working from home is such a blessing, but the long-term effects of me and like all my colleagues not having the same access to stable work, like a stable day job kind of work, is really stressful.
What is something you wish you knew when you were an emerging artist?
When you start learning about a creative industry, it really burns you out on the idea of working in it, and kind of really burns you out as far as your own creative identity goes, and as far as how you express yourself with your own work, because you're working to some fairly rigid standards. So that was definitely the hardest point, and I'd probably tell myself to trust myself a bit more, and to remember that no matter what I end up doing in my day-to-day and what I end up doing for a career, I'm still happy making work, and that's the most important thing.
How has Nava's code of practice been useful to your work as an artist?
Nava's code of practice has mainly been a huge kind of relief on the back of my mind as far as the administrative side of working as an arts worker goes. I got involved with Nava because I needed some public liability insurance for exhibitions and any sort of installation work, but it's also nice to know that there's an entire network of artists and art workers who understand things that I may not. So when it comes to law, when it comes to my rights, when it comes to standardized wages, I think it's really bridging an important gap that a lot of artists kind of wouldn't be able to do by themselves.
What brings you joy in your practice? Why do you make art?
I think there's something really innately tied to humanity when it comes to creating art. I feel like it's such an integral part of being human, and it's kind of the way that I express myself, but also find my place in the world. I feel like I'm doing the same things and feeling the same things as so many other people before me for millennia. So yeah, the biggest joy I get out of creating art is the age-old sensation of creating something out of nothing and using what we have to create something completely new, and to try and articulate the way that we see the world to other people and compare that to how others are showing us their version of the world. I think that subjectivity is, one of the most beautiful parts of humanity, and I'm chasing that in the work that I create.